Have you ever pondered over the concept of caring less to live more? Intriguing, isn't it? Let's delve into a book that explores this very notion. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Now, don't let the title fool you. It's not about being indifferent or insensitive. It's more about understanding what truly matters in life. This book isn't your typical self-help guide. It's a counterintuitive approach to living a good life. It challenges the conventional wisdom of always striving for happiness and success. Instead, it encourages us to embrace our struggles, failures, and uncertainties. It's about finding out what's really important to you and letting go of everything else. It's about choosing your battles wisely because, my friends, not everything deserves your time, energy, and attention. So are you ready to explore this profound concept of caring less to live more? Today, we delve into the key insights from this phenomenal book. First off, Manson emphasizes the value of struggle. He doesn't shy away from the reality that life can be tough. It's punctuated by periods of pain. And it's through this pain that we often find our greatest growth. Imagine you're a piece of metal, and life is the fire that forges you. It's hot, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. The hammering, the shaping, the smoldering heat, they all contribute to the final product, a stronger, more resilient you. Manson argues that the struggle isn't just an unavoidable part of life, it's an essential part. It's the grit in the oyster that creates the pearl. It's the pressure that turns carbon into diamonds. It's the challenges we face that make us who we are. He cautions us against trying to sidestep or avoid these struggles. It's easy to fall into the trap of pursuing a life devoid of hardship, but it's a futile endeavor. Life is struggle. Life is pain. And the more we try to avoid this reality, the more we suffer. It's like trying to hold back the ocean with a broom. You might manage for a while, but eventually you'll be overwhelmed, and you'll be left feeling drained, defeated, and more miserable than before. Instead, Manson encourages us to lean into the struggle, to accept it, to embrace it. Because it's in the heart of the struggle that we find our strength, our courage, our resilience. It's not about seeking out struggle for its own sake, but rather recognizing that it's a part of the journey. It's about understanding that the road to greatness is paved with challenges, and that these obstacles are not to be feared, but faced head-on. So, the next time you find yourself in the throes of a struggle, remember the words of the great Winston Churchill, who once said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." Don't shy away from the struggle. Don't try to avoid it. Embrace it. Because it's through the struggle that we grow, that we evolve, that we become who we're meant to be. In the words of Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. Secondly, Manson highlights the importance of values. This, my friends, is a concept that strikes at the very heart of our existence. The values we hold dear, the principles we live by, they define us. But what exactly are these values? In a world that often measures success by external achievements, the job promotions, the luxury cars, the Instagram followers, Manson flips the script. He suggests that good, healthy values are not dependent on these external events or material possessions. Instead, they are internally achieved. Take a moment to imagine a life where your happiness isn't dictated by the number of likes on your latest post or the brand of your watch. Picture a world where your self-worth comes from within, from living in alignment with your deeply held values. It's liberating, isn't it? Manson implores us to cultivate values that are process-oriented, ones that are under our control. Instead of valuing being loved by everyone, why not value being authentic? Instead of valuing winning, why not value giving it your all? These are values that are not contingent on external validation, but are entirely within our grasp. But how does one identify these values? It starts with self-reflection. It's about understanding who you are, what you stand for, what truly matters to you. It's about aligning your actions with these values, even when it's difficult. It's about living a life that feels right to you, not one that merely looks right to others. Now, this isn't a call to abandon all worldly desires. It's simply a nudge towards a more fulfilling existence, one where success is not defined by societal standards, but by personal satisfaction and growth. One where happiness is not a fleeting feeling derived from external approval, but a deep-seated contentment that comes from within. Let's ponder over these words from one of the greatest minds in history. As Albert Einstein once said, "Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value." So, what values will you choose to live by? Thirdly, we explore the power of responsibility. The essence of Mark Manson's perspective is that we're in the driver's seat of our own lives. He proposes that we must take responsibility for our problems, regardless of whether or not they are our fault. It's a provocative idea, isn't it? Now let's break it down. Picture yourself in a storm. The wind is howling, the rain is pouring, and you didn't even bring an umbrella. It's not your fault that the weather turned sour, but it is your responsibility to deal with it. You can choose to stand in the rain and complain, or you can seek shelter, buy an umbrella, or even dance in the rain. In life, we often find ourselves in the midst of storms that we didn't cause. It could be a difficult relationship, a challenging job, or an unexpected health issue. But just like the storm, it's our responsibility to deal with these situations, even if we didn't cause them. Manson argues that taking responsibility is not about blaming ourselves. It's not about feeling guilty or wallowing in what should have been. It's about understanding that we have the power to influence our circumstances, even when we can't control them. In taking responsibility, we find our power. We find our ability to make choices, to effect change, and to shape our own experiences. It's not always easy. It requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to face our problems head-on. But in doing so, we gain control over our lives and our happiness. In essence, Manson's perspective compels us to stop playing the victim, to stop blaming others, and to start owning our problems. It's a call to action, a call to step up and take control of our lives. Remember, in the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, in the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. Fourth on the list is the rejection of entitlement. Now hold on to your seats, folks, because this is a big one. Mark Manson, in his wisdom, places a strong emphasis on the dangers of feeling entitled to anything in life. Feeling entitled is like expecting a gold star just for showing up. It's like believing you're owed something simply because you exist. But here's the reality check. Life doesn't work that way. You're not owed anything, not a single thing, not happiness, not love, not success. This entitlement mentality, this belief that we're owed something, leads us down a path of constant dissatisfaction. We're always wanting, always needing, never truly content. If we believe we're entitled to happiness, then every moment we're not happy is seen as a failure, a theft of what we're owed. This mindset, my friends, is a recipe for continuous disappointment. So, how do we combat this? How do we reject entitlement? The answer is simple. Through gratitude, through appreciation, and through understanding the value of hard work. We need to appreciate the good in our lives rather than focusing on what we think we're missing. We need to understand that we're not owed anything, that we need to work for what we want. And here's the secret. When you stop feeling entitled and start working for what you want, you'll find a deep, satisfying happiness that entitlement could never bring. It's a happiness born of struggle, of effort, and of achievement. It's the kind of happiness that stays with you, that shapes you, that makes you a better person. So the next time you find yourself feeling entitled, remember this: you're not owed anything. Happiness, love, success, these are things you work for, not things you're entitled to. Let's take a leaf out of Oprah Winfrey's book, who once wisely said, "The more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate." So let's start celebrating, folks, and let's start working for what we want, rather than feeling entitled to it. Lastly, we touch upon the acceptance of mortality. This might sound a bit grim, but let's delve into Mark Manson's perspective on this. Manson posits that accepting our own mortality, the inevitability of death, is not meant to be morose or depressing. On the contrary, it's a liberating concept that can help us live a more fulfilling life. This acceptance frees us from the chains of trivial worries and trivial pursuits, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. Picture this: we're all on a ticking clock. None of us knows when our time will run out. But instead of dwelling on this as a somber thought, consider it as a reminder to make each moment count, to live each day as if it were our last. Manson suggests that when we truly embrace this, we begin to see life differently. We start to appreciate the present moment more because we realize that these moments are fleeting and finite. We begin to value experiences over material possessions, relationships over status, and authenticity over pretense. We also start to understand that failure, rejection, pain, they're all part of the journey. They're not something to be avoided at all costs, but rather, they're aspects to be embraced as part of the human experience. Because at the end of the day, it's not about avoiding hardships. It's about choosing the hardships that are worth struggling for. This acceptance of mortality also helps us to let go of the fear of judgment. After all, when we're faced with the ultimate reality of our own mortality, the opinions of others seem rather insignificant, don't they? So, what can we take away from Manson's belief in accepting mortality? It's a call to live authentically, to pursue what truly matters, and to let go of the trivial worries that often consume us. It's about realizing that we have a finite amount of time and that we should make the most of it. Steve Jobs once said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." So, let's embrace our mortality, not as a somber thought, but as a liberating concept that can help us lead a more fulfilling and authentic life. We've navigated through the key insights from Mark Manson's book. We've explored the crucial value of struggle, the importance of values, the power of responsibility, the rejection of entitlement, and the acceptance of mortality. Each of these elements intertwines to form a counterintuitive approach to living a good life, an approach where we learn the subtle art of not giving a fuck. The struggle, as we've discussed, is not something to be avoided, but rather embraced. It is through struggle that we grow, we learn, and we evolve. It's our struggles that shape us, that define us. It's the difficult times that truly test our mettle, showing us what we're made of. We also delved into the importance of values. What we value shapes our actions, our decisions, our lives. Choosing good values, values that are reality-based, socially constructive, and immediate and controllable, is the cornerstone of leading a fulfilling life. Then we explored the power of responsibility. The idea that we are responsible for everything that happens in our lives can be a hard pill to swallow, but it's a necessary one. Taking responsibility empowers us, it gives us control. It's not about blaming ourselves, but about understanding that we have the power to change our circumstances. We also talked about rejecting entitlement. No one is entitled to anything. We are not entitled to a perfect life, to happiness, to success. These are things we need to work for, things we need to earn, and earning them makes them all the more rewarding. Lastly, but certainly not least, we discussed the acceptance of mortality. We are all mortal. We will all die one day. Accepting this fact rather than fearing it allows us to live fully, to live authentically. It frees us from the fear of the inevitable, allowing us to focus on the present, on living the best life we can, right here, right now. Now, as we conclude, I would like to invite you to join us on this journey of self-discovery, of personal growth. If you found value in this discussion, if you're intrigued by these ideas, if you're ready to challenge conventional wisdom and explore a counterintuitive approach to living a good life, then I invite you to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button. We are constantly exploring new ideas, discussing thought-provoking books, and sharing insights that can help you live a more fulfilling life. By subscribing and hitting the notification button, you'll be the first to know when we release new content. And as we part ways for now, I leave you with a thought to ponder. A quote from Mark Twain, a man who himself lived a life full of struggles, who understood the value of living fully and authentically. He once said, "The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time." Let this quote be a reminder, a challenge, a call to action. Let us challenge ourselves to live fully, to embrace life with all its ups and downs, to accept our mortality, and through it all, to master the sublime art of not giving a fuck. In the spirit of today's discussion, remember this quote from Mark Twain. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Let us challenge ourselves to live fully and embrace the sublime art of not giving a fuck.